Hello everyone and welcome to Map the Dragon Railways, and today in this video I will be reviewing a locomotive. Now today's locomotive was actually introduced in 1978, which makes the locomotive 44 years old. And yes, it is Hornby's wonderful little 040 Holden Tank. Now this one's in a Great Western livery with the GWR, and basically the first model of this in 1978 was actually a Great Western, but it had written out Great Western. So yeah, you may think 44 years old, this must be fairly cheap by now, being a basic 040 as well. Well, it definitely isn't. The RRP for this exact livery as well on Hornby's website is a whopping £50.99. Personally, this is way too much, considering I can get these on eBay second-hand in a good condition around the £10 to £20 mark. So yeah, that's less than half of the RRP, and you can get some really nice smooth runners for that money. So in this video I'm going to be seeing if this locomotive goes right with the price tag. No, that is going to be an honest answer to start off with, but we're going to see how much it links up to that price tag. So yeah, come with me and let's get straight onto the detail, as this hasn't got a box, and the detail pack only come with a couple of vacuum pipes, which are very basic. So yeah, let's get down on the layout. So here we have the Holden down on the white background, and before I start picking out details, I think it's due some history. So some people actually believe this model by Hornby is actually freelance and completely false and never existed in real life. But actually, one was actually built in Swindon, only one, and it was built in 1902 as an experimental locomotive. The loco was actually oil-fired to begin with when it was built, but eventually was converted to coal fire. So the real thing actually had a complex firebox as well as complex valve gear, of which Hornby simplified on their model, as you can see here. And if you go on the internet and search the Class 101 Holden, you will get many pictures of these models, but you may find one or two of the real Holden, and you can see the valve gear is completely different. The real thing was meant to haul passenger trains on the Rington Vale Light Railway near Bristol, but never done that, and stayed as a shunter at Swindon Works. The Holden was eventually scrapped in 1911, meaning she only actually survived for 9 years in service. So yeah, there's a little bit of history for you. And like I said in the intro, the locomotive model was introduced by Hornby in 1978, making the tooling 44 years old, which is quite old, and I don't think the price justifies it, but let's go into detail and start off with the overall finish. Now this is quite a nice finish. I'd say not matte, I'd say more of a satin finish, and yeah, it looks quite nice. I'm going to start picking out things like the printing, the GWR, and the number on this one is 167, and that's a fictional number because, like I say, only one was built and it was number 101. So yeah, it's actually quite nicely printed, very nicely done at high standard. You got the handrails, which is all moulded, and it's actually quite nice, very nicely painted, no paint bleed. I'm going to start talking separately fitted pieces. I might as well, as there isn't much apart from the buffers, but we'll get onto the buffer beam in a second. And you've got the chimney cap, and the bunk is actually one separate piece, and you've got a couple of little safety valves, which I'll get onto in a moment. We're going to quickly have a look at this simplified valve gear. Yeah, it's not prototypical at all to the prototype, but it's there, and it's a basic 040 chassis, and let's be honest, these are known as starter locomotives that kids will be picking up from model shops and that as train sets, and I think the simplified valve gear in a way is nice. It would be nice if Hornby made a super detailed version with proper valve gear, seeing as it's been in their range for 44 years. But yeah, I think in a way it's good for if you consider children who are handling the model and could easily break complex valve gear, but like I say, at the same time, it would have been nice to have it done properly. You've got this unsightly line on the cylinder. There's this little pokey piece extruding that you can just about make out, and that is actually prototypical. If you look at photos of the real thing, there was something there. And you've got some nice brake detail and sandpiping and all that. You've got a nice hole in the underframe, which is quite nice and prototypical. So let's take a quick look at the buffer beam in the front. You've got the standard Hornby D couplings, no NEMs here. You know, for £50.99, I think a NEM conversion might have been nice. Buffers are not sprung, but I think that's to be expected. I think many people have these locomotives hidden away somewhere in their collection, whether it runs or not. You've got a nice red buffer beam, you've got a hole for the vacuum pipe, and you've got moulding resembling a coupling hook, but it's not done the best. Looking at the smoke box, you've got the handrail from the sides that goes over, which looks nice. You've got a nice smoke box dart, and that's about it, apart from the smoke box saddle. And just by the smoke box, you've got a sandbox representation. Looking up onto the chimney, you've got the separately fitted component. Now, I don't think this one is made of real brass or metal, but I have known them to be in older models. Looking on top in general, you've got a nice dome, all moulded. You've got some boiler banding detail, the water filler cap and all that. And you've got these nice separately fitted safety valves, which are fine. You've got these guttering and all that moulded onto the roof of the cab. But apart from that, you haven't got much. Now let's take a look at the cab detail. Well, I will say there's plenty there. Now I'm trying to show you it as best as I can, really. With a torch, but it's not coming out the best. But there's plenty of moulded detail. You can probably just make out a regulator and a brake and all what have you, and some pipe work. But it's not over the top, it's not fancy or anything, nothing painted, which might have been nice. And even though this model is, again, £50.99 now, it's still, painted cab doesn't show off the price in that way. It's more of a £100+ model that would have that. But, you know, it would have been nice to have something on this model to tell me this is £50.99. Looking, we got the same buffer beam as normal, the red and the standard coupling. We've got some nice lamp irons detailed on the bunker, which is quite nice. I'll just quickly show you the coal. Here we have the coal. It's only a little bit, isn't it? Would be interesting if they actually modelled this when she was oil fired. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's not over the top. You've got a nice little handbrake wheel also picked out just here. And yeah, I forgot to note there is a missing component on the real thing. There's this box-shaped thing about up here on the, at least one of the tanks, and you've got like the general toolboxes and all that stuff. But yeah, that's missing on this model. So yeah, there's the Holden there, all detail done. Yes, that's all of it. And there isn't enough there to justify the hefty brand new price tag that's been inflated. And yeah, it's not very good, especially the model being 44 years old. It's a good loco for that age, I think. It's alright. But for the modern day, modern price, it's not very good. If you're looking at what you can get a decent one for second hand, which is £10 to £20, then you're looking quite happy there. That's actually quite a nice detailed loco for that money, but definitely not for the new RRP. So without further ado, let's test the slow speed of this locomotive. This one is a more modern version, of which the Hornby £50.99 version of this exact locomotive, basically. The only difference will be a number. But yeah, it's got the slower speed gearing and what have you fitted, which is quite nice. Which, if you didn't know about, the older versions were known as pocket rockets because they actually flew off your track. So yeah, let's check down on the layout, slow speed, and then give it a nice run. So here's the Holden down on the Roger Bay layout, and let's talk mechanism quickly, and of which it is extremely basic. You've got a simple can motor inside, simple pickup mechanism, no flywheel or anything like that, just a motor inside the chassis. There's no bearings because the chassis is literally a moulded piece of plastic with 2 holes in it, of which you push one wheel in and push another on. So yeah, it's very, very simple and very cheaply done, which for £10 or £20, yes, but not for $50.99. So let's test the slow speed for this, considering, like I say, this locomotive is quite expensive, and I have been saying about the price quite a lot. Now, if my hand's getting away, it's because the controller's just here. So, I think we've got her in reverse, but I'm just taking up the power. You can hear her hum, probably, if I shut up. And there we go. Oh, yeah, backwards. I'm just going to put her in forwards. I do apologise for having my fingers in the way. And I've got the power on. I'm just very, very slowly taking the power up. Oh, she cut out. And there you go. It's alright. It's a shunter at Swindon, so you know it's okay for the slow speeds. I'll just do it again for you. Ooh. It's not terribly slow. I've seen a lot slower. If I got one of my Sentinels or something out, I'd show you. But hey ho, that the Sentinels are more expensive, aren't they, for the price? So you know. But yeah, it's okay, but it's not as good enough as other locomotives you could probably pick up second hand on eBay for the £50. So my plan is to, off camera, do a shunt with this Sentinel up here and get these wagons out for the Holden, and I shall run a passenger train and run some clips of the loco running, show my general conclusion over the locomotive, and basically end off from there. So here we go, we've got a nice small freight train for the Holden to pull. What's that? 6 wagons and a brake van, so yeah, should be pulling that quite happily. I think any loco should be able to pull that, maybe with an exception of the new Hornby rocket, as I've heard they're quite weak, but you know. And she's stalled. Hang on, guys. Let's try again, shall we? So yeah. Let's give it a bit more power. And she's got over that fine, with a little bit of hesitation over the point. So some of you may be thinking, I'm being a bit harsh on this model. Now, if this locomotive was £10 to £20, of which I have bought quite a few Holdens for the £10 to £20 mark, I'd be saying this model is really nice and really good for the money. But because of, like I say, this new hefty price tag that this loco comes with, I need to make sure I review it fair enough for you guys and show you what you're getting, or basically what you're not getting for the money. So anyway, let's stop rambling on and whinging. Let's show you some running clips of this Holden, because she does have a lovely presence to her, and she does actually look quite nice in general. I must say, no doubt she is actually quite a nice runner, isn't she? So it's that time for my conclusion. Well, I will say she is a very nice runner. She's got a great charm, great character to the model. But for the price of £50.99, it's overpriced. Let's be honest. If I'm completely honest, and I've never said this before, and I think this is the most negative review I've done, Hornby is actually ripping you off with this loco. And I never say that about a model. So yeah, for that modern price tag, and quite a hefty one, they are ripping you off. But no matter what, these locos are bulletproof, they run forever and ever, and they are overall quite nice. And for £10 or £20, I can definitely recommend these. I think maybe in the future I should come back to this loco and, you know, do a review based on what I've paid for it, because then you might get a happier review. But yeah, it's very overpriced for this new model. But saying that, if you think about it, this locomotive, it seems like its target market is for the starter set and for the beginner and possibly a child, really, which understands the valve gear being so simple. But a child has got to fork out £50 on a locomotive alone. Now, I'm sure there are train sets out there on the Hornby website and second hand that'll have this, and it'll have wagons and their track and everything. But if a child desperately wanted this Holden, they had to save up a lot of money before they even bought the track, a controller and rolling stock. So yeah, I think it's quite expensive for that. And the beginner, if you think of, even if you're you know, older and in your adulthood, I think you're just beginning to start a model railway, you think, what locomotives can I buy brand new? And you see £50.99 for a simple basic 040 tank engine, and it's probably going to stir people away. But not as much as the other prices that you see on the websites these days. But, you know, it just might push people back a bit. So yeah, it's a bit 50-50 for, you know, the £10 to £20. Absolutely fantastic. Go get one if you can find one for that price, which you can extremely easily on eBay. Just bearing in mind there are like the faster geared ones, but they're actually add a bit of fun to the layout if you have a super fast one. But yeah, this has got sensible speed, and even for that you can get them cheap. So yeah, I recommend them for that price deeply. Go get one for that, that's fantastic. But for this modern hefty price tag, no way. If you buy some up, buy a bigger locomotive second hand, I would. Or just, you know, go to a model shop. They'll have some great second-hand locos, I'm sure. You get a lot more for your money in a model shop, I think. Second-hand, they know it's running. You know, you can even see if it works and that. So yeah, I don't recommend this at modern price. I recommend it at old price. So yeah, it's a bit negative, this review, I must say. But overall, it is quite a nice, charming, long-lasting, bulletproof locomotive. I really want to like this locomotive. And I really do like this locomotive, but for the price, I don't like it. For the price I pay, I'm happy with it. I love this model actually, in real life, you know, for what was paid for it, and that is fantastic. But this new Hornby one, same livery as this as well, the only difference I can think of is a number. It's not worth it for that modern price. So thank you for watching this video. If you somehow enjoyed it, do leave a like, comment down below. Do you think I was fair enough on this model, and or do you think I was a bit too harsh? Share this with your potential Holden buying friends, and please do consider subscribing for more running sessions and reviews and all that fun jazz. And I shall see you all next time. Cheerio for now, stay safe, and I shall see you next week.